So once you've made your student account and entered the class code provided to you, you will see this on your BandLab Education dashboard. What you're going to do to get to your assignment is you're going to click on Summer Class. This is a class that you are enrolled in. And you will see two assignments listed. For today, we're going to start with Lesson 1. So our objectives for Lesson 1 is we're going to be able to make a song introduction that meets the following requirements. It needs to be at least 16 measures or bars long, and it should have the following instruments: drum, bass, voice, a piano or synth, FX, and then one other instrument of your choice. So to get started on your assignment, you're going to click the green button that says Start Assignment. After you click that green button, we're going to click on Teacher's Assignment. Once the BandLab mixer opens, it gives you different options for new tracks. For the purpose of our lesson, we are going to click the button in the bottom corner with the infinity sign that says Browse Loops. Now, as you open BandLab for the first time, you might have a pop-up up here that asks you to allow use of microphone. You can go ahead and click Allow for now, as we will be using the microphone in the next lesson, and it will save you that step then. So when I have clicked loops, I can see that it's selected in green at the bottom. If I want to close the window to be able to see everything I have better, I can just click it again to deselect it, and I can see my entire screen. For now, let's turn the loops back on, and you're going to go to loops at the top. So here is our loops menu. If I want to filter my instruments to look for something specific, for instance, let's start with drum, I go to Instruments, I click the arrow, and from there I can click on Drum. And this will give me an entire list of all the different drum loops I have access to. Now, if I click on it, I can see there are 1,192 different drum loops to choose from. From there, I can narrow it down further by filtering it by genre. Genre refers to the style of music. So for instance, we have rap, we have hip hop, we have electronic. Here we have global, film and soundtrack, rock and metal, pop or R&B, hip hop or trap. So I can filter it by different genre as well. To start us off, I guess I'll go to hip hop or trap. And this will give me all the drum sounds that match this genre of music. So what I can do from here is if I want to hear what one of these loops sound like, I can click on the play button next to the loop. When I want to stop hearing the sound, I will click the pause button, and that stops my loop from playing. So if I decide this is the loop that I want to use, all I have to do is left click and hold it and drag it into the empty space. Now, I want to make sure that my loop is starting at the beginning, so I'm going to move my cursor above it so that I see this glove, and I'm going to click and drag it so that it starts all the way at the beginning at the 1. Now I can see here that this particular loop is 4 measures long. The way I can tell is with the numbers at the top. So this is measure 1, this is measure 2, this is measure 3, and this is measure 4. So if I start from the beginning, I can use this, what we call transport, to take my slider to the beginning. Wherever this slider is where my song will start playing if I click the play button. So again, I can click that back button to get back to the beginning, and I can click play to hear what I have put on my tracks so far. When I'm done listening, I can click pause. And so far, I have 4 measures. So our assignment needs to be at least 16 measures long. So if you skip count by 4 or do multiplication tables by 4, 4 times 4 is 16. So I would need 4 of these tracks. So there are a couple ways I can do this. The easiest way for most of you is probably going to be to click on the track so that it has the white perimeter, and then right click it and copy. From there, you can right click and paste, right click, paste, right click, paste. And now my drum track is all 16 bars. So I see it goes to the end of 16. All right, so if I want to hide my loops for a second, I also have these zoom tools here. What these allow me to do is they allow me to zoom out to see more or zoom in to focus on a specific area. So I'm going to open my loops back up and I'm going to change my instrument now. Let's go to a bass guitar. And again, I can play my sounds. And when I found one that I like, I can just drag it and drop it. So the same kind of idea applies. I want to try to make sure that my bass loop starts at the beginning. So I just click and hold and drag it in. All right. So if I started it in the middle, like right here, you can see that, think of it kind of like Legos, right? I want to try to make sure that everything is stacked on top. I don't really want it to be in the middle because then sometimes the loops won't line up well and they'll sound kind of weird. So I definitely want to get that kind of sense of that they are equally matching and they're stacked on each other. Now that being said, we are making a song introduction. For an introduction, most music does not start right away with all the instruments, but they layer in, meaning that if I put in my drum first, my bass wouldn't necessarily start at the beginning with the drum, but it might come in a little bit later, like this. So if I click my back button to start at the beginning and play it, you should hear my drum happens first, and then my bass joins it. So I'll stop it there. Now, if I'm not happy with that bass loop that I chose, you can just right click on the loop and click on delete. And you can find another bass that you might like better. That one's pretty cool, so I'll click and drag that in. And now if I play it, I want to just hear what it sounds like with my drum. I'll go to the 5, and I'll press my play button, or I can press spacebar on my keyboard. And again, if that's something I like the sound of, I can do that same thing where I make sure I right click, I copy, I right click and paste. And it's going to paste wherever this white line is, right? So if I paste something like this, I can see that they're not lined up, right? So again, to fix that, I just kind of click and drag, and that will line it up. All right, so now let's add some type of keyboard or synthesizer. So there's keyboard here, synth here. I'm going to add a synth to this one, I think, but you can choose whichever. So let's see. So I can drag that in. Let's see how those sound together. And then I could repeat it if I wanted to. Now, let's say I decide afterwards that I don't want my drum to start first. I actually like this synth better. So here's what I can do. I can drag my synth to the beginning. I can left click outside of where all my sounds are and hold it and drag it to select all. And then with this white glove that appears, I can move it over to where the first sound finishes. Now again, if I'm doing an introduction, I'm going to have one instrument play first and then a second instrument might join it. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this over. Copy, paste, 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 paste. So that's copied and pasted over. I can go back to the beginning. Now I can play it to hear what it sounds like as my instruments come in. So again, first I should hear one instrument, then two, then three, and then we'll talk about which one's dead next. So now it's important to note that I don't have to keep the same bass sound and the same drum sound playing the entire time. So if I decided at this point I want to change my drum sound, usually a good indicator to do is look at the name of the sound and find the other loops that have a similar name because they're going to be similar style. So I used Anticipate a Trap Drum Groove 1, so let's check the second one to see what it sounds like. Let's check the third one, the fourth one, the fifth one. So each of them have a different sound. So let's say I decided, and again, I can click on it and click the delete button to remove it, or I can right click and delete it that way. So let's say I decided I want the fourth pattern here now. So I'm going to copy paste them all over. And now if I play it, I should hear it change from this pattern to pattern 4. And I can hear where it changed. So the next thing we're going to add is a voice. So there are two types of voice. There's some spoken stuff and there's some sung stuff. So let's try this one. So that one's not really sung. It's more of like a sound effect or a spoken voice type thing.
Get low, 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 low. Get low, 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 low.
So there's an example of that, right?
Get low.
So let's say that's the one I wanted to use. I can click and drag. Now I can see this one. If I drag it to the beginning here and I zoom in to see the length of it, I can see that this particular loop is only 2 measures long. Right? It only fills up the first 2 measures, the first 2 bars. So for that reason, if I were to copy and paste this one, so let me drag it where I want it to start. So again, we're talking about those instruments layering in. I have my lead first, the drums join it, then the bass, and then my vocal comes into the next 4 bars. So this one's, as you can see, half the length of these. So I have options. I can either make it last the same amount of time as my existing loops, or I can have it start halfway through my existing loops. So if I play this, you should be able to hear the difference of when it starts halfway through, because we're used to every 4 measures hearing a new instrument coming in. So if I play it, here comes the bass. This is where it would come in if I kept it the same, but it changed, so now it comes in here. Now, let's say I decide I don't like that. Again, I can just right click, delete. I can open my loops back up and I can pick something else.
Shake that body, shake that body, shake that body, shake that body.
So maybe I decide I want that one. And this one looks like it works the same way. It's half the length of our other loops.
Shake that body, shake that body, shake that body, shake that body.
So I could either have it start at the beginning, I could have it start halfway through like this.
Shake that body, shake that body, shake that body, shake that body.
All right, so there's that. And again, the same kind of idea is I could find...
Run it! Shake that, shake that, shake that, shake, 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 shake that, shake that, shake.
So that's kind of got the same kind of text, right? We got shake that body in the first one, and now this one shake that, shake that, shake that, shake that, right? So I should be able to hear it change if I do it like this.
Shake that body, shake that body, shake that body, shake that, shake that, shake that, shake, 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 shake that, shake that, shake that, shake, 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 shake.
Right, so I can play around with that a little bit. Okay, so for the sake of time, I'm just going to go ahead and copy this one over. Now again, so copy and paste. Now again, I want to try and avoid that kind of empty space between sounds, so I make sure they line up. Because if I look right now, they're not necessarily ending at the same time. So I'm just going to go ahead and snap that over so that they line up. Okay, now let's add an effect. So for an effect in digital audio workstations, they just get lazy and they don't spell out the word. Instead, they put FX because it sounds like effects. So I'm going to click on FX or effects, and these are a bunch of different effects that I can choose from. So if I click on one, there's this kind of crackling sound. That's a fun one. So let's drag that one in. And I'm gonna see, so if I zoom in on this track, let me just make it big for a second. You can see there's this flat line, noise, flat line again. So I'm gonna try to just change it so that I only have the noise for the ease of lining it up. So what I do is there's this thing that kind of looks like a door with an arrow going out of it. If you hover over it, your cursor looks like this. So you can click and drag. And I'm going to click and drag a little more down here so that it starts right at the sound. And I can do that at the end as well. I can click and drag so that that line at the end disappears. And I'm just going to kind of line that up with the start of my loops again. So if I play this, let's hear what it sounds like. So the effect, you don't have to really do it so much as an instrument coming in at different times. You can just add it throughout your song just to add, additional sounds that work well with it. So now that I have my effects in there, let's go to the assignment brief and just check how I'm doing. So is it at least 16 measures long? 16 would end here, so I'm actually past it, so that's a yes. It has a drum, it has a bass, it has a synthesizer, it has a voice, it has an effects, and then the last thing I need to choose is one other instrument of my choice. So this part is up to you. You can click on the instruments to see all your options. There's strings, there's brass, there's arps, which is kind of like a harp. There's piano, there are a whole bunch of different options here for you, guitar. So I'm just going to click brass because brass is fun for now, just for the sake of finding something. Let's see what we have. That one's fun. Let's bring that one in. So let's see what this sounds like. Shake that, 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 shake that. All right, and if I'm happy with that, I can leave it. If not, again, I can right click, I can delete, and I can pick something else from my list here. So let's say for the sake of time, I'll just pick this one. And again, this is another one of those 2 measure ones. I can see it takes half of the length of this 4 measure. Now it was kind of hard to hear that one, so if I want to turn it up, I can just use this little volume slider here and go positive with it. So I'm at +3.5. Let's try it now. Right, and then the same thing applies to the other ones. If I have something that's a little bit too loud, I can go to that track and I can actually drag it into the negatives. Right, -3 on that one, I can go maybe -4 on that one. And then if I play it, those should be softer. And those are my options. Now I really so once you're finished with your assignment and you're good to go, you can just click that submit button at the top and it will turn it in. If you want to add a note here, something you liked about the assignment, or if you want to add a title or anything like that, you can add it in the description and click submit. Just know that when you do add something in the description, anything that you add is in writing, so please make sure that you don't put something in writing you don't want to be in writing. So I'll submit, and it'll take me here. It'll say processing in progress. You don't have to do anything here. This is kind of like YouTube. If I upload a video, the website itself has to process it before others can view. So once you get to this screen, you're done and you can log out.